Earthworm Jam 3D. Now you might not like the game, but if you've watched me for a while, you'll know that it's a bit of a staple on my channel. The running joke being that it's the greatest game of all time. I certainly don't believe that to be true, unironically, but I do still have a bit of a soft spot for it. Well, it turns out that this game has a fully functioning debug menu with all sorts of dumb shit you can do. So we're gonna look at that today. This menu can only be accessed through a GameShark code, which I'll post in the description in case you're interested. Now the first thing is a level menu, but the only option is hub. Its only purpose seems to be to take you back to the brain area, which is the game's hub world. The next and probably the single most fun feature here is the ability to have all guns and to switch between them at will. What this will reveal is that there are actually new guns that weren't available when playing the game normally. Essentially leftovers from development. There's this weird gun that I think was supposed to shoot bubbles, but it never seemed to work for me. Then there's this fucking flamethrower, which is super effective on zombie chickens. Sometimes switching between these guns will cause the emulator to have an access violation, so do be aware of that. You can also have infinite ammo, which causes the game to be very easy, and it looks incredibly hectic. I mean, just get a look at this. The next coolest thing is the ability to modify the DSP. Now if you don't know what DSP is, he's a Let's Player who once accidentally live-streamed himself masturbating. But it also stands for Digital Signal Processing. What it does in terms of audio is that it adds special effects to it to alter the way it sounds. In the case of this game, you can choose a specific DSP setting to make all the sound effects seem as though they're happening in a big room, or a small room, or have an echo, or what they refer to as flange, or flange, I don't know how you pronounce that. But just listen. There are also some video options, but I think the emulator configuration just supersedes all of those. I would do this on original hardware to show you the actual difference, but I'm still working out the kinks with my capture device and this is just easier. Maybe someday though. But there are still more technical things as well, like this so-called heap monitor, which shows you all these statistics as you play the game. There's an FPS monitor too. Of course, the game is nowhere near 60 FPS on original hardware. If my memory is correct, it's closer to 20. There's this option called compensate, and without getting into super technical terms, I think the idea is to make sure the game's speed is technically the same in spite of frame rate fluctuations. Which is why turning it off causes the game to be super fast, because it wasn't supposed to run at 60 FPS on original hardware. Could you imagine? Like, holy shit. One of the coolest tools is the ability to turn real cam off. Real cam is effectively the way the camera works in the actual game, but there's an alternative mode where the camera just gives you this crazy amount of freedom. You can rotate it around you on all axes, and even look under the floor. And you can use the control pad to zoom in and out extremely far. Yo, Boundary Break, where you at, man? Let's collab. I mean, I could really use the publicity. Seriously. DM me. Then there's this weird tool called freeze frame. Basically pressing a button causes Jim to freeze in the first frame of an animation. I don't really know what you would use this for, but the developers probably found a really good use for it. Another option you're given is to instantaneously kill bosses when you fight them. This is especially hilarious to me because the bosses in the game are notorious for being really stupidly hard, and the very fact that there's an option to instantaneously kill them means that it was so hard that not even the developers wanted to do that shit. They made the bosses so dumb that they just knew that people who played the game would be flipping their shit over it. That's hilarious to me. Well, that's about it. I think we've learned some very interesting things here, and the only thing on my mind right now is, wouldn't it be cool if you could access the debug settings in every game? That would be awesome. I wish. Get a load of these fucking grandmas, by the way. They take like 18 billion butcher knives to the face and they're still standing. That's insane. You don't mess with grandma. Still, this is pretty cool on its own. Thanks for watching.